come from. The truth is an irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers of comfort call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers of comfort call. One guy's out here, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what I see so. Now your friend on a nine come at them. Only papi obeka na sembia. So I want one over you. Everybody was afraid. And until I learned to my cottage again, once my boy dumping one another. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akukudro for nyina dalima. Who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow German set to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akukudro for nyina dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi sa udi oma opipi numa. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? DUC silence, even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right, wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption, someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless, poverty no they mean useless. One day then go resist.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to MyView Show here live on TodayGhanaNews TV, where every week, which hasn't been the case recently, we do well to bring you the most entertaining, the most educative, the most informative socio-political discussion there is online. As I said just a while ago, we have been off air for some time. I mean, not the entire station, but this show in particular. But the last time we were online, we were here to discuss a very, very critical life and death matter. And since then, we have had a lot of support from you, our various audience and viewers across all networks who have offered us a lot of support and a lot of information. And for this, we are grateful. In moments like this, you make the work that we do worth its salt and worth the while. that we do it. So we are grateful to you, just as we welcome you to today's show. And in welcoming you, I would like to say a warm welcome to our listeners on Sakina Information Center who are joining us all the way from Tatali. We also say welcome to our listeners on Adlima Information Center. And we say a very warm welcome to our listeners on High FM 3.7 in Achimai in the Eastern region. And we say a warm welcome to our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra, and to all our viewers across all social media platforms on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, and on whichever network that you are joining us from. We say a very warm welcome to you to today's show. Now, today we are going to revert to, quite a matter that is very familiar with this program, which has to do with developmental matters as they concern Ghana. But before we go to the topic in particular, I would like us to all draw our minds to the effect that, you see, there are some things or creatures that are called nation states, which is which is in its loose terms we call them countries. Now, nation states in most cases are not static. They start from somewhere, they evolve, and they grew with time. And as they grow, they change. People change their minds. They see some things, they abandon them, and they move on to other things. At other times, they abandon some things and they go back to them. That is why we see that nation states evolve and grow over time. And one thing that grows along with a nation state, in fact, one thing that underpins the development of the growth of every stage, of every nation state, especially those that practice Western democracy, is what is called the rule of law. Now, for most countries that practice Western democracy, they have constitutions, and these constitutions have laws that guide them in how they conduct themselves and how they carry themselves and how their lives are regulated and moderated. And as time goes on, for those who have parliaments, and most of them do, they seek to clarify things as they go along, set up more rules, and those come in the form of acts of parliament that also go to add to the laws in the constitution. Well, Ghana, like all other countries, have a constitution, has acts of parliament. And recently, the Parliament of Ghana sought or is seeking to change one of the laws that govern how life is conducted in Ghana. And that law has to do with the role of persons who have dual citizens in holding some positions in Ghana. Now, this is our topic for today, but like I always say, I say that on the show, mostly we don't have all the answers by ourselves, but what we do and what we can do best is to always bring people who are well-resourced, people who are on top of the topic, so that they can educate you and I and every other person listening, so that we can educate ourselves and get ourselves abreast with the topic, and again, get it abreast better. So for today's topic, we have gone back to our old friend of the show, who has been with us all this while. And when we have, weighty political matters, he comes to our aid and try to share his opinion with us and share his resourcefulness and resources with us to help educate us and have a good discussion on such matters. So today, we are happy to be joined by Dr. Justice Salifu. Dr. Salifu, like I said, he's an old friend of the show. He joins us from time to time. He is also the head of research of NDC Pro Forum in the US of A, and then he is also the patron of team in Lakeside University as well. Dr. Salifu, welcome to today's show.
Thank you very much, my brother, for inviting me once again.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
We do hope that you've missed us just as we have missed you.
In fact, you said it all. I miss the show and you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So I try to introduce the show for today, but let's do this for a second before we come to the show for today. Today, for all political watchers in Ghana, um, there has been a turn of some events, depending on where people sit, people interpret it differently. For environmentalists who have been campaigning for all these years about the distractions that have been going on in Ghana, especially as it has to do with illegal mining. And for some people in government who have taken this challenge on and have been on it for quite a while. Today seemed to be a landmark, seminal moment in a fight against illegal mining or galamsey or whichever form it may be. For people on the other side, they say it's political witch hunt. And I'm referring to the case of the sentencing of the Ashanti regional chairman of the opposition, the leading opposition party in Ghana. Seeing that this is quite a prominent topical issue in Ghana, how do you receive this particular news that came across? I think sometime early mid morning or afternoon, depending on where one is.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and good evening to your listeners. Well, I read it. I didn't go read the details of what the judge's reasoning is, and then all the evidence, because the case has been going on for some time. I've been a strong advocate against galamsey because of the toxic effect it has on our livelihood. You look at galamsey areas, underdevelopment is manifesting severally because people are even selling their farms for people to do galamsey. It destroyed the water bodies, and it has become a menace we are all concerned about. So fighting it in any form, we should welcome that. And then the president made promise he was going to fight that. The fight takes time and also different dimensions, different methods he has to employ. And I think prosecuting people who violate the laws is very much welcome. And I think President Mahama has done a yeoman's job because in Ghana, it is the government that does the prosecution. So we all look up to government. It's not government and the state does that. We have not decoupled the state from the government. And as head of government, President Mahama should be commended for taking this issue serious. Because if we, as human beings who create all the things that we hate when it comes to galamsey, they do illegal activities, and the rest of us are paying huge price for whatever activities they undertake that destroy our water bodies, that also cause massive destruction of our forests. We need the ecology in order to leave this world to next generation in a good form. And then people are destroying it for their selfish reasons. So I think it's welcome. But you see, anything you do to fight things that involve corruption or misbehavior, once the person is a politician, don't expect flowers. So President Mahama will definitely not get flowers from every Ghanaian. But for those of us who are concerned about this menace, I think we will give him the flowers he deserves, because this is the beginning. And I hope that he won't lax it up. He will fight it objectively, no matter the person who is involved. The person involved has a right to appeal, to defend themselves. I think it has been in court for a while now. For the politics of it, it is always going to be there. But once these things come up, it shouldn't make President Mahama to wrap up what he's doing. Because at some point, all of us will see the wisdom. All of us will see the importance of fighting corruption this way, fighting the Galamsey menace this way. People will say it, but history will vindicate him. And I should applaud the president, the attorney general, and the team of investigators and prosecutors for doing a very good job. This is the beginning, and I hope it's going to continue. Even if it is an NDC person who does this, they must be held accountable. And that can make our nation great as the founders envisaged.
Well, talking about making our nation great, and so, and just as you give your applause to the Attorney General and for all those who have assisted to get this case thus far, I think that it would be a good point to pivot to our topic for today, seeing that we are talking about giving leverage to some other category of Ghanaians to also be able to contribute their quota to the development or in service of Mother Ghana. And that is for those who have dual citizenship. Before we go into the technicalities and nitty-gritties of dual citizens and whether they qualify and the advantages and disadvantages of it, can you help us understand what is, when people say that somebody has a dual citizenship, what are they referring to? What does it mean for somebody to have a dual citizenship?
The simple explanation and the meaning is that the person has citizenship in two states, in two nations. If we look at how democracy evolved, it evolved from Athens, Greece, and also Rome. If we're talking about the Greek framework, that is called democracy, which we have imported for our purpose. A citizen was someone expected to perform certain duties. A community member who is expected to defend the state, who is expected to pay taxes, who is expected to show loyalty to the state. That means full allegiance to a state. They had the city-state. So once you go out of the city-state, that obligation is not part of you again. You don't have that obligation to defend the state, to pay taxes, and all the others. Now, the Romans had a similar system, but their framework rather gave protection to citizens, no matter where they are. A citizen means that he's a member of the community, and wherever he goes, the state will still protect the person, give them equal rights like anybody who is in that state. So this is how democracy evolved, and citizenship is one of the important part of democracy or a nation state. Because as a citizen, you are considered a member. That means you don't need DNA to prove that you are a member of the community. The citizenship establishes your origin, your relationship with the state. And every human being has a relationship with the state, because the state protects you. State gives you your identity, it gives you the culture, it gives you so many things that you need to function as a human being. So every nation, especially democratic ones, will always make citizenship part of the national constitution framework, whatever guides them. Britain doesn't have constitution, but it has conventions, and the conventions spells out how a citizen is dealt with by the state and by the government. So In our case, we are fortunate to have a constitution that defines our relationship with the state. So if you are a dual citizen, what it means is that you have two citizenships. And there are a lot of ways that one can end up with this type of citizenship because due to many, many reasons that we can exhaust, people move to other places, sometimes by accident, sometimes intentional. And when this happens, the question is, are they still part of the community they left where they were born? And citizenship defines whether you still have relationship with it and what kind of relationship you have with your origin and also where you reside. So this is what brought about the idea of dual citizenship. Because when you leave your homeland, the state will have to define who you are. Although you are absent, you are still part of their community.
Yeah. Okay. So now, all right. So now having gotten the background as to citizenship and its duality, before, without going into the details of the merits and demerits of it, what we have always known in Ghana until now have been that Ghanaians Ghanaians who owe so allegiance to Ghana have or had the right or had the privilege of serving, up to the highest office in the land. But that was previously not allowed to some people who owed allegiance to some other countries. Now, with this matter that has come up, is that something? Is that trying to change the status to the status quo? I mean, this discussion that's in Parliament right now, is it seeking to change the status quo so that such restrictions are eliminated or removed, or what does it seek to do? Hello, Dr. Salifu, are you with us? Okay, I think probably we have lost Dr. Salifu briefly. I'm sure he would rejoin us in no time. Before we left him. From the top, we tried to discuss briefly the issue of this latest issue of the sentencing of the Ashanti regional chairman of the leading opposition party to 20 years imprisonment for his role in some mining in one of the forest reserves in Ghana. He from the perspective of Dr. Salifu, he thinks that this is a step in the right direction, and that to the extent that all other Ghanaians who who are in one way or the other living their life legitimately and conducting their lives according to what is prescribed by the law, still having to suffer the effects of this illegal mining in Ghana, that it's good that one way or the other, the government is stepping up to the plate and trying as much as possible to try and sanitize the system and try to get people to follow the laws, and for those who have broken the laws or fallen foul of the law, to try to set an example so that it deters other people from getting into it. I think he also commended all those who are involved in one way or the other in the prosecution so far. Dr. Salifu, welcome back.
Thank you. You can see that I'm in a third world country right now.
Yeah, we overcome.
Yes, we shall overcome.
Yeah. So I think before we lost you, you had explained to us, the citizenship and its duality, and how people come to gain it, and how it shapes the relationship between people and then the nation state. So now, what we are trying to understand is that previously, up until now, what we have known have always been that um, Ghanaians who have sole allegiance to Ghana have been the ones who have had unrestricted or unfettered, privilege to serve in all offices or all capacities in Ghana. And that people who had other allegiances probably were barred from contesting some positions. But this seemed to be changing. If I recall correctly, I think that in the history of this Fourth Republic, a former MP, or probably was an MP by then, was sentenced, because of his nationality issues. I think I'm referring to Secondary, who was sentenced for his nationality. And if we recall properly, just in the last parliament, an MP was also prosecuted for a long term, and this also had to do with his nationality, or the duality of his nationality. Now, does this thing that is being this act that's being considered in Parliament, does it seek to change anything? What bearing has that got to do with the dual citizens and their ability to serve in all other offices?
Like the foundation I laid with employing the Greek and Roman understanding of citizenship. If you leave your community, are you still part of it or not? And in which way are you part of it? It's like you are from a royal family, and then you move to another kingdom. And then there's a chieftaincy position, and it says, because you are in another state for all this time, you have allegiance to that. And then you can never be a chief. And it's because you have moved from your community to another. It doesn't sound right. Because if you look at even our local situation, chieftaincy is more valuable than citizenship. Because when you are a chief, you have the royal blood. You are a leader and you command authority. You lead people. You have more control than someone elected. But yet you can hold any type of citizenship and become a chief. So many things, when the Constitution was framed, the framers had legislative intent for everything that they put in our Constitution. And I think one of the things that they created a lot of erroneous assumptions was citizenship. In Article 8, simply, if you find a child in Ghana who doesn't have a father and mother, he's considered citizen by birth. That child can be Ghana president. So if you have a child, just drop the child in Ghana, and then we can locate the father, we can locate the mother, the parents. He's automatically qualified to run for president. But when he's brought here willingly, he cannot. Because once we identify his father, wherever his father is coming from is where the person is also coming from. Right. So if you look at the way the Constitution was framed, just few things, and then they are not just happenings, but assumptions, that if you have allegiance to two states, you cannot serve your people. What it means is that you are likely to be hostile to the Republic of Ghana. And whenever there's loyalty to choose, you won't choose Ghana, you choose the other state. That was the assumption on which our citizenship law was framed. Now, if you come to Article 94, which is the biggest elephant on the block, is that the founders indicated that you cannot run for certain offices, including parliament, if you have dual allegiance. But the complication is that at the time they said you cannot run for office if you have two citizenships. Ghana did not recognize two citizenships. So if you were to acquire citizenship of another country, you cease to be a Ghanaian. Because Article 94 spelled it out clearly. And even Article 8 states that once you acquire citizenship of another country, you cease to be a Ghanaian. Then you came to Article 94, Clause 2, and indicated that if someone has dual allegiance, they can run for certain offices. How did the framers know that there will be dual citizenship law in Ghana at some point? So it's so complicated. Because at the time they were doing this, Ghana hadn't allowed dual citizenship. So why did Article 94 says that technically, if you can interpret it as dual citizenships because you have dual allegiance, you have two citizenships, and then you have two allegiance. And they said, no, you can't do that. In the first place, the law didn't even allow that in the first place because it says once you acquire one, give up one. So you can always be one. So for all these years, and if you look at most of the cases that you just cited, it was centered on Article 94. But the framers never elaborated what was the legislative intent. Because they could have been, if you want to speculate, you could say that, look, the person may not have full allegiance to Ghana if he has another state as a country. And then he can give information to the other country in times of war and so many issues. I mean, when it comes to maybe war or whatever it is. And then also there was the thinking that someone can abscond with our resources and then get protection from the other state, which has never happened since Ghana was founded. So they didn't base it on any examples. The framers just put it in as a fear that this potentially can happen. We've been running this country under this constitution for a long time. Nobody has absconded with Ghana's resources. The person who can be described as a fugitive, Kendo Foriata, that is not an American citizen. Dual citizenship, people think that dual citizenship pertains to people in America, Britain, or and Ghana. No, there are Togolese who have dual citizenship. Yeah. That's our neighbor, our neighboring country. They go to the same farm, they fetch the same water, but they have different citizenships. So when you acquire citizenship of another country, you cannot represent people you work with on every single day. So this issue needs to be addressed because even if you take out all the reasons, the benefits that we get from dual citizens, it doesn't make logical sense to put a provision there and it's not clear. If you read that Article 94, it doesn't say citizenship. It says allegiance. What's the difference between allegiance and citizenship? Allegiance is the promise you have made to a state to be loyal to it. Citizenship is having rights to do so many things. And there's no place in this world that you can have half citizenship. It says, okay, you are given citizenship, but it's half. And then your citizenship is different from Kofi's citizenship is different from Kwame. Kwame's one is half. You can't do this, you can't do that. technically, it creates a situation where you are so limited. But under normal circumstances, a citizen is expected to perform certain functions in the context of the Athenian democracy. You're supposed to vote, and then you're supposed to be voted for. You can't vote for people and never and not be voted for. So the idea of representation has to do with the interest someone has in a community. So the Constitution itself has an issue.
There's this point, seeing that you are talking about allegiance. Some people say that the basic fear in having dual citizens occupy some. I think the argument that they make is that it's never been a fact that dual citizens cannot love their country, or not that they cannot serve their country, or not that they cannot help in developing their country, but that the fear is in getting them to occupy some offices that they consider as sensitive, including maybe serving high political office where people will be privy to some very sensitive security matters. And the fear is that, once you owe allegiance to another country through citizenship, you are then obliged to serve that country once you are called upon. So if the country calls you and demands from you certain information, that as long as you are a citizen of that country, you ought to oblige. And that the duality means that you then be caught in a conflict of which master to serve, your country of birth or the country where you have acquired citizenship subsequently. What do you make of this line of thought?
You see, what they overlook is that if what you just cited is the case, what is the powers of an MP? MP cannot sabotage Ghana more than the Chief of Staff. The Chief of Staff perhaps is more privy to secret information on our country than MP. What about the First Lady? The First Lady can be any citizen, but he sleeps with the President. He has more knowledge of what is going on in government than MP. But yet we allow that. Now look at Black Stars. If you play for Black Stars, you can sabotage Ghana more than MP because you can score a own goal. Now, we said the hypocrisy comes in when you look at it this way. You say, oh, you can't go to Parliament. Abedi kids cannot represent us in Parliament because they were born in France and they have French citizenship. But they can play for Black Stars. They can be our referee. So you decide to assemble Team B and then we get defeated. The Chief of Staff supervises most of the ministers. But he can be that. So at the end of the day, and also, if you are a dual citizen, you can be a chief. You can even be a Asante-Hene. And how do you compare Asante-Hene in terms of influence, in terms of maintenance to a simple MP? See, they put this in there in our constitution because the thinking was that someone is always going to abscond. But if you look at it technically, it comes to who they wanted to compete with when it comes to parliamentary seat. And also the parliamentary seat, you don't just go and pick a parliamentary seat, you have to run for it. So why can't we leave it for the citizens to choose who represents them? If a dual citizen run and they feel that dual citizen will be very dangerous to their community, they will vote against the person. But yet we put it in our constitution and say allegiance. Look, there are people who are not citizens, but they swear allegiance to our country. if you follow our independence, before Ghana became independent, all Ghanaians were paying allegiance to the Queen of Britain. So they ever swear that they hold allegiance to United Kingdom. And if you look at all our presidents, except President Mahama, they were all born before independence. So that means Raleigh swore allegiance to Queen of England. Kufuor did, President Kufuor did, President Mills did. Did they actually have dual allegiance because they've ever swore allegiance to another and never recounted it?
Mm.
And allegiance, if your kids attend school in the United States, whether they are citizens or not, they will swear allegiance to the flag of the United States every single day. Right? So the founders will have to tell us why they use the word allegiance in Article 94. And if the allegiance they refer to was citizenship, they should have actually stated clearly that it's allegiance, citizenship. But they didn't do that. And I think this was put before the Supreme Court at some point. I think Professor Asare did this. But they did some modifications to some of the wording. Because if you look at the citizenship law, when you become a citizen of another country, you are not a dual citizen in Ghana automatically. You say you have to apply for it. So what sense does that make? The Constitution says you can be a dual citizen. But the moment you qualify to be that, you have to go and apply to Ministry of Interior, and then you are granted. Does that make sense? Now, you look at also how people acquire citizenships. If there's a pregnant woman and the woman is in labor, they need medical attention abroad, and they fly them to US. Once they have the child can run for president in the US. They can be congressmen, they can be senators. But they need a visa to come back to Ghana. What is their crime? That we have actually ostracized them and think that they are not dangerous to our country because they were born in another country. And then you look at marriages. People marry people of other nationalities. And then there's always separation when it comes to that. I remember coming from US to Ghana with my wife, who was not yet a citizen. And anytime we go to checkpoint, she will have to be treated differently whenever we enter the United States. So you look at all this, it doesn't make sense that we still have laws like that, prohibitions. We will tell someone, oh, you are half citizen, and the other one is a full citizen. Some people have fear, but if we won't have fear, let's put in the Constitution that when you have double allegiance, you cannot be a chief. But this one pertains to, if you read the amendments that were made, and mostly NDC did the amendments, because in 1996, NDC government under President Rawlings amended the Constitution. Because Rawlings himself was taken to court for not being a Ghanaian and running for president. So they wanted the interim electoral commission to disqualify him because his father is from Scotland. But he said, because of that, you are automatically a citizen of Scotland in addition to this. But Rawlings has never lived there. So where do you prove allegiance? Does he have allegiance to Scotland? No. But the Constitution didn't say citizenship. It says allegiance. And you can't prove Rawlings had allegiance to the other state. So if you look at it, what President Mahama is trying to do is to correct errors that were made by the framers. The framers were dealing with different times. And if you look at our constitution, it's not just the dual citizenship law that is controversial. A whole lot of things were put in there that we still need to change. If the president is in Togo, Lomé, if he's going to Lomé, he needs to hand over to Vice. If he's going to Upper West, which is farther than Lomé, to Accra, he doesn't have to hand over. And they were doing it because two presidents were overthrown, Nkrumah and Bozia. So they put it in our constitution. Now we don't have coups. Can we just amend it? So when president travels, he's still the president of our country. And then there are other provisions that, are very questionable. So President Mahama is trying to streamline our constitution, and we should give him the support. It's not about people getting elected to. How many dual citizens want to be MPs? If you do that, even if you change the law, I don't think many of them will. And the example we have on our hands is Opuriata is not in Ghana to face the prosecution. He's not a citizen. Well, right? So there's no fear to entertain in the first place.
Well, my suspicion is that even if dual citizens are allowed to contest anyway, their opponents would use the duality of their citizen to campaign against them. And then it would lie in the mouth of the electors to decide as to whether they would buy into it or not. But there are two more issues that I want us to discuss. Probably we'll go on a short break. When we'll come back, so two issues. First of all, we'll look at maybe what we have been talking about, the thing that scare people the most, and how probably the laws need to be realigned. But if we do then, overcome our fears and allow dual citizens to, occupy some positions, what can be the benefits that can inure to, the country and their communities? Then we probably conclude with the other part where I think we have the Council of State that is trying to make an intervention, and among other things, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what the specifics of their concerns are, but I think maybe they also raise procedural issues as well. So probably we'll take a short look at that, and then we can wrap up. So we'll go for a short break, and then when we come back, we'll look at those two areas. So for all our listeners who have made time to join us, go nowhere. We will be right back shortly with Dr. Salifu, where we will take a second look at the topic of dual citizens and occupying some positions in Ghana. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Beyond Makeup, where beauty and confidence are taken to a whole new level. Here, we pamper and Welcome to Beyond Makeup, where beauty and confidence are taken to a whole new level. Here, we pamper and take care of you like royalty. Enjoy our gentle waxing, refreshing facials, and soothing massages that melt away stress and leave your skin glowing. We also offer professional makeup services, manicures, pedicures, durable nail extensions, and perfectly sculpted ombre brows. We give you the most perfect soft lashes that highlight your natural beauty. At Beyond Makeup, every visit is more than just a service. It's an experience of care, elegance, and transformation. Locate us at Chado Last Stop or call us on 0559 933 505 or 0506 474 911. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Beyond Makeup, your journey to wellness starts here.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. enka osoro hene ka apostle Stephen Amuako ho okwantrofo panyi ene kofa baye edema Inner World of God Ministry International ewo biblical truth memenda ediye nimi ene memenda bia abra abo enumere nonso Ghana time yeyi ni life ewo Today Ghana News TV biblical truths power
Welcome back to Today Ghana News TV, MyView Show here live, where this evening we are discussing the topic of dual citizenship and their eligibility or otherwise of occupying top political positions or sensitive political positions in Ghana. And we have been joined by Dr. Salifu, who is helping us to understand the topic more and to go into it in detail. But before we go further, let's welcome back our viewers and listeners who are joining us. Let's say a warm welcome back to our listeners on Sakina Information Center in Tatali. Also to those who are joining us at Jaframa TV, you are also welcome. At Limai Information Center, you're also welcome. Hi FM 3.7 at Jihima, you're also welcome. The King's Radio, you are welcome as well. And for all those who are joining us on all social media platforms, welcome back to the show. Now we take some comments from our viewers and listeners, and then we welcome Dr. Salifu back to the show. Jaframa TV, you say, welcome back, Doctor and Doctor. You are watching from Rara Oti region. Thank you very much, Jaframa TV, for always making time to join us. Kweku Ivu, you see, why is it that Ghanaians in the diaspora are only allowed to play for Black Stars and not to contribute to political and national and nation building? You are watching from Suhum in the Eastern region. Thank you very much for that. Sekapa TV, you say, kindly ask Dr. Salifu, if someone holds a US and a Ghanaian passport, which country will the person be patriotic to? You are watching from Jumapo near Koforidua. Thank you very much, Sekapa TV, for joining us. Then the next comment comes from Lady Mal _2. You say Dr. Salifu needs to be in government to help shape government policies and programs for a better Ghana. Well, Lady Mal, thanks for the shout out. You will never know. Maybe when Dr. Kass will ask him whether he's not in government already. Lady Mal, you say you're watching on Twitch from St. Petersburg, Russia. Thank you very much for always joining us on Twitch. Jibodi, if you say, I think the judgment is not harsh. Chairman Wuntumi deserves it. Ghana is working again. Greetings from Sunyani. Thank you very much. I don't know. I think the maximum he could have got was 25. The minimum was 15. I think the judge struck it in the middle, 20. And you think that's not harsh enough? Well. Frimpong Buffy. Frimpong, you say, good evening. I do not have much right, but to learn. Very educative and insightful. You are watching from Akuse near Somenya. Thank you very much, Frimpong, for joining us. Mavis Boateng, you say you are watching with your family from Lisbon, Portugal. Thank you very much, Mavis, for joining us. Let's see. The next one comes from Nata from. You say, good evening. This discussion is for those in Parliament and government to hear and to take notes. You are watching from Tatali, Northern Ghana, and greetings from Sakina Information Center listeners. Thank you very much, Nata, for joining us. Shamaba. You say, lesson for politicians. After stealing the money, Una refuse to pay to help the diehard grassroots. Baba Hotel. Thank you very much, Baba, for the message. Robert Kimpe, you say, good evening. The education is very deep. I'm learning something from Dr. Salifu for the first time. You are watching from Paris, France. Thank you very much, Robert. Indeed, anytime Dr. Salifu joins us, he educates us very well. NDC Diaspora Union, you say, bravo, Dr. Salifu, for this great picture and spotlight on dual citizenship. You are watching from Amsterdam, Holland. I am really enjoying the program. Thank you very much, NDC Diaspora Union. Asempa Heneboachi, you say you are watching and listening from Achim Himai. Thank you very much, Asempa Heneboachi, for joining us from Achim Himai. Nyame your boy, you say, good evening. Kindly ask Dr. Salifu if he has forwarded his write-up to those in government, because he has a genuine point. You are watching from Nkwanta. Thank you very much, Nyame your boy, popular tea seller in Nkwanta. Frimoyi, you say you are watching from the near Ho. The discussion is deep. Thank you very much, Frima, for joining us. And thank you to all our viewers and listeners. And for those who have sent us messages, we are grateful to you as we welcome Dr. Salifu back to the show, so that we would take a look at some of the advantages that the country has to benefit from allowing its dual citizens to serve in various positions in government. Doc, there's somebody who said, who is lobbying for you that you should join government. And I said we should ask you, maybe you are in government already.
In fact, I'm in government in spirit, and I think that's important. We are discussing citizenship. So as a citizen, you must see yourself as, if you are not part of the government, you are part of the state.
Mm-hmm.
And they are both important for our existence. So it's not all of us that can be in government active as is expected, but we need to always be very proud of our country and our government. And President Mahama has actually impressed us so much with his delivery so far. So I think President Mahama is doing it for all of us.
Well, the thing about citizenship and governance and governance is that mostly the discussion tends to always be one-sided, where citizens take back seats, and the conversation is always centered on leadership. But for leaders to exist, they need to be followers. So if there's leadership, there needs to be followership, and the followers must also follow effectively and allow themselves to be led by those they elect to lead them. Other than that, the leaders will be walking alone, and there will be nobody to lead. So we all have our role to play.
I agree with you 100%.
All right. Thank you very much. So let's go to some of the ways in which allowing this, or giving the opportunity, opening the doors for dual citizens to occupy the so-called high offices, maybe like some of the advantages or some of the benefits that these can have for the state. At the top of my head, every time we read the budget or we talk about economics, we set off from the point that remittance in Ghana right now surpass foreign direct investment that come from outside. And most of these remittances come from our brothers and sisters who are outside Ghana, and most of who hold dual citizenship. That is maybe that's a good starting point, no?
Yes. This is what the figures you just quoted are those that the government is able to track. There are other things people bring in here that we don't track. And Ghana is so fortunate to have very large, population abroad. That brings a lot into the country. People own businesses. People own so many things. Dual citizens. And, people who live abroad. And that has always been there to stimulate the economy. They have businesses and they employ people. I know quite a number of people in you know, that department, and they are helping in, you know, growing our country significantly. And then dual citizens represents Ghana, you know, very well in many respects. I'm a dual citizen, but trust me, if you take my American passport, it's indicated place of birth Ghana. So even if you think you are an American, America doesn't think you are American like that. They think you are Ghanaian. And then you come to Ghana, they say, oh, you are half citizen. You can only do this, you cannot do that. You can pay tax, you can do all kinds of things. And many countries across the globe now uses citizenship to, you know, promote diversity and then broaden the citizen base, improve the quality of citizenship. If you have citizens and the quality is not good, you end up having free riders. I'm not saying Ghanaians who are in Ghana are free riders, but most people who live abroad contribute significantly. They do many things. They support their families back here. And if you live in an advanced country, you will understand why people become dual citizens. For example, in America, if you become a citizen of that country, you can bring your father, you can bring your mother, you can bring your wife. Your father who will not get good medical care in Ghana, you can bring them to America to get good medical care. And there's certain services. Because look at the trajectory in our country, most of our politicians die abroad. Because when they get to some point, they are sick, they take them out. And ordinary people, we cannot do that. Farmers' kids. But fortunately, if someone who cannot do that also have a child who is in abroad, they get to benefit the same way as the politicians who are against this law being repealed, amended. So there are a lot of benefits that come with it. And we're looking also to promote diversity. People come with different experiences, different culture. Now, for most part, anytime government tells you that they are building capacity of workers, they send them abroad. I've never seen any group come to Ghana to build their capacity. So people who live abroad, who learn variety of things, they finally bring them here. And that enriches our society. It kind of enriches us in several ways. And if you go to Parliament today, most of the people who are representing us, their kids are abroad. Their families are over there, and some of them live there. I have friends who are in Parliament and they live in the US for almost 40 years. And they are back with rich experience to help develop our country. Now, we should also amend the law because the law doesn't make sense. Homosexuals, it is not written in the Constitution that they can represent Ghana. Dual citizens, a certain segment of the population can just represent. We are quiet about it. But dual citizens were targeted because the idea was that if you give them that power to represent our country, they may compromise our interests. But I don't think there's anybody living abroad who is not proud of their country, because over there, they will never be proud of you. So most people get citizenships for convenience and sometimes for occupational reasons. So the complication is so manifested in many ways. And I think President Mahama amending it would do a very great job for all of us. Okay. The dual citizens also, you know, when they come to represent, they can enrich their community. They can also bring their network to influence change in their community. I was just jokingly telling someone that if there were to be a law in our country that if your kids don't attend schools in your constituency, you can't represent them. How many people would have represented their constituencies today? The 275 members. Most of them, their kids, I mean, with all respect, don't attend schools in their constituencies. If they are sick, they never go to hospitals in their constituencies. But yet they represent.
I would have gone a step further to say that if you have to represent a constituency, you have to receive healthcare from that place. You know.
And then when you die, because most of them will die abroad, but they want to be buried in that community. They didn't want their kids to attend schools. So we need to kind of put most of these things with all seriousness, because if you think this doesn't affect you, you don't know where your kids will go. Your grandkids, you don't know where they are going the next few years to come. So we should streamline it and then let the people of this country make a decision. If you want dual citizens to represent you, give them the chance to mount the platforms and tell you why they want to represent us. And then we vote them down or up. But they shouldn't be ostracized because they leave this country and then they have legal right to vote for another government.
So let's probably conclude at this point with the little technicality that seem to be at play. I'm not, like I said, I'm not very well versed with the angle that the Council of State is pushing, whether it is the law as a whole or the approach that is being adopted that is the concern. Is that something that has come to you? Have you taken note of the concerns of the Council of State?
Well, the Council of State is more like a secret society. And with the constitutional amendment, is one of the institutions that needs to be reformed. There was a time Yana made a proposition that we should convert it to second chamber, and I am 100% in support of it. It didn't get much discussion in the media, but I think it's very important. Because, you see, the Council of State is a parity of the U.S. Senate type of thing, upper chamber, where you bring revered people to support government. But the U.S. Senate has the responsibility to advise and consent. So when the president does anything and send it to Senate, they'll look at it and say, okay, it's good. Do it this way. Or we disagree, we agree. And their disagreement and agreement is binding on the president. In Ghana, it is not. Council of State doesn't sit in public. So you and I will keep speculating. We pay them. We get them elected. But we don't know what they do because it's not in the public domain. They are paid salaries. You see, so at the end of the day, the second chamber doesn't look at bills. They don't look at so many things. And you see, if you look at Ghana's president, he has a bevy of advisors. The ministers advise him. The appointed people at the presidency advise him. Even the first lady advises the president. So upon all this, we believe that we have to get some old folks, former IGP, this and that, to be advising him, and he can reject it anytime he don't want to reject. He won't say he has rejected it, but he just wouldn't factor it. So I think their advice, I'm also so blinded because of the way it operates as to what is the rationale. And the complication is that the Council of State before agreed to the bill because the bill did not wasn't put in Parliament just this session. It was done by the old Council of State, and they agreed that the amendment should take place. And the new one has come to review what is the rationale, what advice are they giving president, and it's in secret when they are supposed to be public institutions. So it should be reformed so that we can have an upper chamber, and the upper chamber must have members from every segment of our population. There must be chiefs, there must be workers, there must be all kinds of people, farmers, and then we get representatives to sit in there. So that anytime Parliament comes out with a bill, they will give it a second eye and say we have agreed or we have disagree. So where Parliament goes wrong, they can come out with technical input to make sure that our government work effectively. And I think President Mahama is thinking this way, but I think he is not touching the Council of State. He rather wanted the Parliament to be reformed that way. It's a good idea, but when we create upper chamber, it brings all kinds of people, because you don't expect a paramount chief to sit in the same meeting with ordinary people. So you can't put them in ordinary to be in Parliament. But Council of State type of Senate can accommodate people like that.
Yeah.
The chiefs can't speak, they can't participate in politics. So that would have also been a good way to accommodate.
They can't do the kind of politics we do in Parliament.
Yes, they can't do that.
Considering the fact that these days they feel them exchanging blows.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So in conclusion, so we would I think we'll wrap it up at this point. In leaving us, is there something that we are still missing in the discussion that you would want to draw our attention to in this matter, and what would be your final say to this matter?
Well, I think Ghana should embrace the idea of amendment. President Mahama came up with this. Many presidents tried to do this. Even I believe if Dr. Baumia had won election, he would have amended it because he proposed it also. So I see more consensus on this issue, because it's going to enrich our country's democracy. America, as big as it is, it amended and created dual citizenship in the 60s, although it has been there for over 200 years. So if we don't do it now, as our society develops, at some point they will do it. So let's do it to accommodate people who are not here. For some reasons, they are citizens of another country, but they love this country and we want to serve it to death. So let's give that opportunity. Let's incentivize Ghanaians abroad to invest more here to support our government. India reckon about 135 billion every year from their foreign, their diaspora. And I'm happy Ghana, we keep increasing the number. I think it's about 8 billion now.
Yeah.
And if we continue to accommodate dual citizens, they will invest here. They will bring their rich experience to enrich our, discourse in Parliament and other places. So I believe that most Ghanaians will support this. Don't look at only US. Don't look at only people living in Canada and other places, but look at even our neighbors. And African unity is always very important, because the colonial masters divided our Africa to 54 countries. And then we can't even cross a border without a visa, because the individuality in those countries are so entrenched. So I think amending the dual citizenship law will give people the chance to even integrate, to even see themselves as citizens of another country. And Nkrumah's vision will be on the way to be, realized.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Salifu, again for making time this evening to join us on this particular topic. As always, we appreciate your contribution for always educating us on these matters and for helping to bring matters to light. We are most grateful to you. And like you said, that by amending this law, it would give a lot of Ghanaians the opportunity to contribute their quota, just as you are contributing your quota as a dual citizen to the development of Ghana. So we are most grateful to you, and thank you for making time to join us this evening.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right.
Great pleasure.
So, thank you very much to Dr. Salifu and to all our listeners who have made time. Like I said at the top of the show, countries grow, countries develop, countries evolve. So if at some particular point in the history of Ghana, it was in the wisdom of Ghanaians to, have some laws that reflected their thoughts at the time. And at this point, Ghanaians feel that they probably have outgrown those particular thoughts, and that they would want to have a different line of doing things. So be it. And so we look forward to the bill as it's penned in Parliament, and we see what would eventually come out of it. As Dr. Salifu said, there are lots of benefits that the country stands to benefit from it. But while doing that, we pray that the law also take cognizance of some of the concerns of some of those who are afraid, so that if for nothing at all, it releases them of their fear, so that we can grow together and build our homeland Ghana together. So on this note, we would like to say thank you to our viewers and listeners who joined us today for this evening. We say thank you to our listeners on Sakina Information Center in Tatali. Also, thank you to our listeners on Adelimai Information Center. Also, we say thank you to our listeners on High FM 93.7 in Achimhima in the Eastern region, just as we say thank you to our listeners on the King's Radio. And for all those who have made time to join us this evening on all social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on all social media platforms, we are grateful to you. Stay blessed, stay safe. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Good evening.
The country where I come from, the truth is irony. Just like animal farm, justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence.